This is crazy, right? Like some people who have been shorting Bitcoin, this person shorted Bitcoin at when it was at $106,000, and he's sitting what at a profit of close to $11 million, and he's still not closing it. And he's been shorting Ethereum, Zcash, and Strategy, but his biggest one is Bitcoin. What do you make of this guy?
He knew something I didn't know. That's what I make of him. We're all saying the same thing. Like, if you really think about it, we're all saying the same thing. I guess there's two futures. ChatGPT came out and you and I were having a conversation like, dude, this is going to replace everything and everyone. Yeah, because we can kind of see the trajectory. I'm like, well, this is the first version. Imagine the second, third, fifth, eighth, 10th version of this AI. Like, it's going to be able to do everybody's job. Great, we're there.
Have a personal brand. Go out there and talk. Go out there and talk. Whether it's your failures or whether it's your success, just talk. Because the want to believe another human, that will not go down. It is an important social contract, but it'll be a great world where the scarcity of money is removed from the human experience.
Do you want to talk about the death of Hollywood? I sent it to you and you said, oh, Hollywood is cooked.
Chinese movies in both animation and visual effects is now at par with Hollywood. I'm just gonna get on a serious note. Like, people are just not absolutely realizing how fast AI is happening, and they should pay more attention. That's all I can say.
Quantum computing is going to be a paradigm shift. Whatever it is, clearly it's going to be a paradigm shift because if it can break every single thing that you've been doing and the entire system that you've built for the last 50 years, the electronics and everything you've built can be broken with this one new technology. So it's something major is going to happen with it.
AI is the present, and they should pay more attention to what's happening, because if they are not informed, they're going to end up being in the same situation as those individuals who thought that real estate prices can go only one way, and that is up, pre-global financial crisis, and saw their net worth decline because they were over-leveraged. Similarly, they need to pay attention because this time it's not just one asset class. It's basically your entire livelihood and what your life depends on, which is jobs. Episode 2 of the Constant Lab. Vishal, what's been happening?
I've been sharing episode 1 with people, my friends and some family members. They like it, obviously, because they're nice to me, so they're saying nice things. I hope some of the audience enjoyed it. Would love any kind of feedback.
Yeah.
Always want to get better at what we're doing.
Yeah. What I was surprised is, and I didn't know it, and that's bad on my part, that you told me after the episode was released that you found that to be the most difficult part of our entrepreneurial journey so far. And I had, so kudos to you, brother, that you overcame your, I guess, camera shyness. I remember I used to be somewhat similar. Believe it or not, I was very camera shy. There is probably a video on YouTube where I spoke with somebody who I invested money in, and I was very camera shy. But then after a year, I overcame my camera shyness. So you got a great podcasting career ahead of you, brother.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, then they say, right? Number 1 fear is public speaking.
Yeah.
Number 2 is death. Yeah, I'm not afraid of death.
Cool. That's cool, brother. Lot of things happening. Just to recap, and I would love to discuss on these range of topics. We got, of course, last time we talked about SaaS apocalypse, and now we're talking about the death of Hollywood. So would love to talk to you about Seedance. The model came up by ByteDance, and the death of Hollywood, and Disney, sent the cease and desist letter to them. We'll see whether them being a Chinese company are going to act on it or not. So that's one topic I would really like to go deep dive into. The other one is Willy Woo, which I'm sure you would have heard about him. He's like a Bitcoin on-chain analysis pioneer. A lot of the stuff that we teach was actually invented by Willy Vu, and he's come out and said something that I would like to discuss with you. What he's tweeted, and I think let's do some little bit of on-chain analysis, especially with Bitcoin at the moment trading at around $67,000. So when we dig in the on-chain analysis sphere, like the hyperliquid, there are some people that are looking at, good profit levels and some of it's very underwater. So would like to get your take on that. And of course, the big one, OpenClaw person s- is joining OpenAI. I know you've been tracking that with keen interest. So how does that sound for an episode today?
I think it sounds good, especially the theme of death seems to be continuing. So we should probably try to pivot away from that at some point. But but I think let's maybe there's some life coming from all these various new developments that have happened in AI. I think one of the cool ones, like you mentioned, the Seedance.
Yeah.
I, I'm a '90s kid, super nerd. I loved all the X-Men and cartoons growing up. So I think it was the first Seedance video I saw was like Wolverine versus Thanos or something like that. And this is just one of the more recent ones that we've seen.
Yeah.
Um, y-
Yeah. This is crazy. Like all the videos that have come out from Seed Dance that are on Twitter, there is just crazy that AI video has reached this level.
yeah, I'm gonna pause it just because
Yeah.
people can go find this one. Um,
Yeah.
look at it themselves. Um, yeah, do we want to talk about the death of Hollywood? I mean, you actually messaged me and you had seen the seed dancing. I sent it to you and you said, "Oh, Hollywood is cooked." And for a minute, I was like, "Oh, for sure. Like this is crazy. This is really really good. These things keep getting better every single time someone releases a video." Um, obviously, there's going to be limitations, right? They're not going to be able to make an hour and a half movie today. Maybe in 6 months, they're able to make an hour and a half movie. Right now, it's probably like 5-10 minutes. They could put together some really interesting stuff. Which perspective do you think they're dead in? Right. There's the IP perspective, because you mentioned Disney sent a cease and desist letter. And yeah, they're not going to be able to make a movie about X-Men and release it anytime soon to try and make money from it. But what they are actually showing the world is everything that Hollywood was spending $200 million making, like a movie that takes that much money to make. Um, we've AI has closed that gap. Like there are all these industries that they're coming for. It was kind of the SaaS thing too, or you know, something that took $100 million budget to make. Now someone can have this program and do it themselves at home. Is Hollywood dead? Look, I think before Seed Dance and before any AI even came out, I think Hollywood was dying, and I don't think it's because of COVID either. I think it's just been bad storytelling for a really long time. I'm an avid movie watcher, so I'm pretty critical of the movies that come out.
Mhm.
Um, maybe obviously, like everybody loved the superhero movies, and that this goes right after that part of Hollywood, CGI. But maybe good storytelling will come back. Maybe, you know, real actors on screen having to emote will come back. I'm not sure people will want to see an AI movie with, let's say, Keanu Reeves just emoting, AI emotions. No one. I'm not really sure if people are really gonna want to see that. But this is really cool. I do think Hollywood or those studios who are sending cease and desist letters, instead of cease and desist letters, what they should be sending is, here's an offer to purchase this department of your company, ByteDance, or can we do a partnership agreement where you can come and embed within our studio and help us overtake our competitors, right? In the movie business. Well, wouldn't that be the right move? It seems like Peter Steinberger of OpenClaw has that idea. He's not saying, I mean, Claude Code could have gone down that path. I think they sent a cease and desist letter or something like that. to him. So he changed the name to OpenClaw. What does OpenAI do? They jump on the opportunity and bring him into the fold. If you can't beat him, join him. And I think UB Hollywood needs to take that, learn that lesson right now. Because I don't know if they have any AI studios of their own. And if they don't, they should be going out there and trying to partner with these guys so they can cut their CGI budget down and do what they want to do, which is make movies for cheap and make tons of money on the back end.
So look, from my perspective, the reason why I also see you might be real thinking that this guy, who am I with now? He's very pessimistic. He was on the side of death of SaaS. Now he's saying death of Hollywood. So I do agree with you. I think when you look at the box office numbers of Hollywood as an aggregate, they've been struggling. They've been struggling for a long period of time. You just need to go to boxofficemojo.com, which is the aggregator of box office numbers, and you can find that stuff out. But I think that this is definitely the beginning of the end of Hollywood as the industry that we know of. Like it's the start of the experience of going to cinemas for movies being synonymous to how somebody goes to a theater, right? Like it needs to be an event to go to
Right.
watch a movie now, right? Unless it's not an event, people are not gonna go to watch a movie. Like, I don't think we're gonna see any more romantic movies making the kind of impact the way it used to do. Uh, it was already declining, but I think it's only gonna be the cinematic, like those Avatar movie, or that Marvel Cinematic Universe sort of movies that when it comes out, people might go to watch it. But what about the rest of the months? What about the rest of the months when there is no MCU movie? So those movies are gonna struggle. And the reason why I say this is, look, I tried Seedance. It's actually not that expensive, and it allows you to it allows you to create what you saw for basically 80 cents. Like you can create a 15 80 cents. So you can create a 15 seconds clip, and it's going to cost you around 80 cents to $1. And it's not like you need to prompt engineer it. Some of the prompts that are used are very basic and it comes up with fantastic results. So I see, when I extrapolate this, what that means is Netflix is in trouble. Hollywood is in trouble. Anybody that creates original IP and hopes that when they release it, after spending so much of money and spending so many months to perfect it, and if the audience resonates to it, I think that is gonna die, because now the ability to create what you want to see is out there. And if you want to broadcast, you can broadcast it. So I feel the biggest winner out of this, even bigger than ByteDance, I feel, is actually YouTube.
Hmm.
I think YouTube is the biggest winner out of all of this, because the AI models are going to keep on fighting with one another of who's got the best AI. But I think people who are creating these videos, they need to showcase it at somewhere. Where would they showcase it? It's only YouTube. So I feel in the race of AI video models, YouTube is the winner. Like YouTube is the NVIDIA of AI video models fighting with one another. And that's why I feel like this is the beginning of the end of Hollywood. And the other interesting point, if you allow me, is that in the last 2 days, I've been doing research because of our YouTube media network as well, the Planck scale, as to, people do they like long form? Do they like short form? And there was an interesting study that was done where they identified that the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they prefer the 9:16 ratio. And that's because when you look at 16:9 ratio, the long form content,
Yeah.
you're actually scanning it from left to right. So you're not sure what is in the middle, what's the focus on the frame, because you're seeing left to right. Like you got to scan like your eyes. But when we look at the 9 is to 16, it's always in the middle. You always know what is in focus. So
Mm.
the Gen Z and Gen Alpha actually prefer 9 is to 16 ratio. And I do not know whether you recall this, but back in 2020, that time when I was in New York as well, Quibi, there was a platform that started Quibi with $1.5 billion in funding that miserably failed. After 6 months, they stopped it. That came up with the idea, this is pre-pandemic, that came up with the idea that the future of cinematic experience is going to be in short form, in mobile phone. So they used to create these 10-minute movies with big Hollywood stars, and it massively failed at it. Um, but there was a resurgence of it now. If you look at China, in China, that 9 is to 16, 10-minute dramas, it's a massive hit. They do much better than a lot of the other dramas. So we're seeing consumer behavior where people prefer that even for cinematic experience, they want to see it on their mobile phone in the vertical format. Did you find that interesting, or are you
That's
surprised by
super interesting. Oh, that's super interesting. You should cut my part out and just do that. Um, that's super interesting because my take really is just on it's mainly a cultural take, and I think yours is too. Where how is technology influencing people, and let's say from a U.S. perspective, even India, like it's big movie watching cultures. Like people just really go to theaters, right? And I remember, like you're right, movie watching was an event. We were waiting. I actually before we got ready for this, I was thinking about remember I don't know if you don't remember because you were very little. Um, when the Phantom Menace came out, Star Wars Phantom Menace, I think it was somewhere in mid-90s, maybe
99? It
mid-90s.
was
Yeah,
99. Yeah.
99. Okay. I remember there being like news stories about how there were lines around the block, people waiting to see. That hadn't happened in a long time. Like there the kind of anticipation there was for that was the same kind of anticipation we saw for some of the superhero movies and things that, that we just saw in the recent, like Avengers or anything like that. I think the one, the emergence of so many different platforms, like you talk about YouTube, but like Netflix and everything else. Obviously, the movie industry, a theater industry, has kind of taken a beating because of, I think, Netflix and the ability to watch anything at home. It's not like we had pay per view at home before, but this is a whole other animal. Um, they, and I was saying like, oh, they ran out of ideas. Look, Netflix isn't making huge blockbuster movies. They're not making an Avengers movie, so that arena still belongs to the movie theaters. It's that they're actually miserably failing at delivering good content because I mean, right now it's February 2026. If you actually just look at what's in the movie theaters today, 9 out of 10 movies are some kind of low budget horror movie. It kind of reminds me of all those movies, Freddy Krueger and you know Nightmare on Elm Street and
Yeah.
Jason movies where they were super low budget, and I think it was like a lot of 70s and 80s movie where they could just keep pumping this stuff out
Yeah.
to make a lot of money. And I think with this advent of, the AI technology, they've just again collapsed the cost. So now you can actually you don't even need an audience of right millions to go see a movie. You can have a very small audience and actually have a great ROI on your creation. So Hollywood, just to end that point, I think if they want to stay relevant, they should figure out how to acquire these studios themselves. Like what ByteDance is. I mean, they can't acquire ByteDance; they're bigger than all of Hollywood, but they should figure out how to partner with them.
Yeah. Um, I think you raised actually just quickly. So it's good you pointed out about horror movies. Surprisingly, Blumhouse Productions, which makes all those horror movies like Insidious, The Conjuring, the
Yeah.
production house behind that, they are massively profitable. Like they are very profitable because And there was this one movie producer out of India that said one thing, who comes of generations of movie producing. He said that a movie never fails, it's the budget that fails. And Blumhouse Productions is probably a good example of it because most of their movies are made off a budget of $5 or $6 million. And even if they gross $40 million, it's like massively profitable as an investment. Whereas all the other movies, which are made at like $20, $25 million, trying to sign, expensive actors, um, yeah, they struggle a lot to make any sort of box office earnings. Uh, Look, I think the reason just on this, and we can end it after, or Hollywood, except China. China, of course, I don't know, but last year, if you see the box office figures, there was a movie that came out from China called Niza, which was a sequel to the first part called Niza 1. And that movie grossed $2 billion at the worldwide global box office, including few millions in US as well. And it was an animated movie. So Chinese movies in both animation and visual effects is now at par with Hollywood, whereas all the other countries, whether it's Australia, UK, India, they are far behind when it comes to visual effects when compared to both Hollywood as well as China. Um, but Hollywood, the thing about Hollywood is they used to think that they've got a monopoly of incredible visual effects driven storytelling. That monopoly is in danger now. And you don't need to be a studio executive or a studio director to build that. We're going to see the breakup of those big studios, and we're going to see these independent studios, even in LA, you know, being prolific now in producing movies. So I think it's great for creators and great for Netflix.
I think it's great too. Mainly because there's this theme that seems to be running at least through my life for a while, and I think yours too, which is actually decentralization.
Yeah.
And without it actually being even a blockchain conversation, this AI narrative that has been running through everything is
Yeah.
doing what, you know, blockchain was meant to do, which is
Okay.
start decentralizing almost every industry. There are these massive conglomerates, you could say,
Yeah.
that were able to have a lot of power. I'm not going to mention Google because they're probably going to be a winner, but that's just my view.
Yeah.
But now you're getting all of this power into the hands of just individuals across the board. Decentralization of building software, last week's topic. Now we're talking about decentralization of content and media, which was already happening. People were creating content, but like this high level content, Hollywood level content is being decentralized, which was kind of the last bastion of, sort of large companies that they were holding this onto themselves. So yeah, I'm happy. I like decentralization. I think it's kind of it's the future. I'm glad we're on the edge of it.
Yeah. Should we talk about the delicate topic, which I know that we, in the recent past few days, have been on the
Yeah.
opposite spectrum, but that makes
Yeah.
for a good show probably, is the
Yeah.
fact that Bitcoin just refuses to get up to speed. It's now trading at $67,000. I think roughly around that. I know you are, of course, uh, you're a permeable of Bitcoin, which I am as well, if you can say it. But for the short term, I'm still bearish on Bitcoin, and that's why I don't have any exposure. But I am very bullish on hyperliquid and blockchain technology. So, do you want to maybe start off by what do you think is happening on Bitcoin? Um, and by virtue of that, what's happening with strategy? Because I enjoy what you think, what's happening, and what might happen in the future.
Do you mean strategy as in micro strategy, Michael
Yeah,
Saylor, or do you mean strategy in
yeah.
general?
No, like Michael Saylor's
Mhm.
strategy and Bitcoin.
Yeah. What do I think is happening with Bitcoin? As someone who enjoys Bitcoin hopium, um, it's I'm probably more addicted to it now than ever because it feels very sad in the short term,
Yeah,
but you have to remind yourself every now and then that this was probably always a long-term play anyway. So if
yeah,
anybody's ever buying Bitcoin, everybody's screaming it from the rooftops, right?
yep,
Hodl, 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 hodl. Why? Why are they saying that? People have
uh-huh,
been saying that for a long time. They only kind of come out when the price is low. So it's like, oh, don't worry, just hold on to your Bitcoin. Don't sell it, because people have to be constantly reminded that you aren't going to upset and overtake the traditional financial industry, gold, silver, every other market in the world,
yeah,
overnight. It wasn't going to happen. I don't know what Bitcoin adoption is now, but it's not like it's, my mother is not buying it, right?
yeah,
So we have a long way to go.
yeah,
Um, Now the price, sure, the price is an indicator of how much how much derivatives trading there is in actually Bitcoin now versus
mhm,
probably before, maybe the last cycle or the cycle before that,
uh-huh,
before institutions came in. We thought once the institutions come in, this narrative is going to completely, this narrative that Bitcoin is an edge asset and it's only for these hobbyists is going to go away. BlackRock is here. All these different institutions are here. Then it's going to stabilize and we're just going to be on a rocket ship going forward. When someone sees their portfolio, let's say they had one Bitcoin and they bought it at $8,000 and they see it go to $126,000, maybe they weren't, what we say, you know, cultists, believers in that way. It's a lot of money. Who's going to say no? Like you want to kind of get out. You still have to live. You still have to live your life. So I think there's a bit of that happening where people have to live their life. The general narrative about every economy on the planet is things are not looking good. There is AI fear. I mean, people are probably selling because they're trying to shore up their defenses of because of what they think is coming. There are layoffs coming. People are going to lose their jobs. If you are in these industries and you have Bitcoin, maybe they're selling it for that reason. We know that a bunch of whales have sold because they were sitting on $10 billion, and it's probably time to diversify. Um, there's the other view, which you're going to mention, Willy Woo, that Bitcoin is struggling because there's the quantum threat, and until that threat is resolved somehow, which is what I've heard is possibly a hard fork, right? Or I'm guessing that's what has to happen. I don't know how you solve this problem. I guess you have to come and fix the Bitcoin code. Until that happens, the price is going to continue to stay low, or continue. People are going to continue selling it the closer we get to this quantum event. Quantum. I've been hearing the word quantum for a really long time. I have no clue what it means. And I think I was listening to something with Lawrence Krauss and another physicist at some point. And this guy, obviously, it's probably a very smart guy. I don't know his name now. He was a professor at one of these universities. And he said, anytime someone starts talking about quantum, I like to, the, the, the first thing this guy thinks is, I'm, I'm an astrophysicist or I'm a professional in this area and I don't know what that is or even how to explain it. And so if someone else is talking about it, I usually just start think that they're probably just talking bullshit. I don't think I'm not saying that right now that this is bullshit. I just think it's a really hard thing for people to understand what it is. So if someone could actually explain to me what is quantum, what is a quantum computer and why is it a big threat, that would be really nice. All I know right now is a quantum computer, if it's very capable, whenever it is very capable, will have the ability to essentially decipher your private keys from your public key, and essentially leading to someone being able to take your Bitcoin, steal your Bitcoin. Um, that's definitely a scary prospect. And if there's a ton of FUD out there about quantum, and people are talking about it on CNBC, Like they're talking about it everywhere. That's kind of the main narrative. So yeah, I can see why people are trying to exit this thing and kind of waiting to see for something to happen before they, pump the price of Bitcoin again. But I don't think it's about the price. Maybe because I'm a permeable, I actually don't think it's about the price at all. Did any of the qualities of Bitcoin disappear? No. One, the right now the security is being challenged. All the other reasons why people like Bitcoin are still there. So maybe if we solve the security issue, then what are you going to say about it? If you solve the quantum problem or give people some relief from this fear, then you would expect Bitcoin price to go through the roof again. Maybe not. I have no idea. I think people like trading. I think people like seeing the price go up. They see their account. It's 100x what it used to be, and now you sell because you want money. It's really simple.
Um, yeah, look, I honestly didn't remove my exposure to Bitcoin because of the quantum threat, to be honest, because, uh, and I think we've discussed about this. If the if we have a quantum computer, so for the audience, a quantum computer, if you want to understand at a high level, is a super fast computer for calculation purposes that can hack the security infrastructure that the world is on. That's effectively it, right? Like Bitcoin runs on SHA-256, but a lot of the other websites, such as x.com, all this internet infrastructure that we've got, they all run on similar encryption technology that if that hypothetical quantum computer comes that is so fast, it can decrypt all of that security infrastructure. So Bitcoin is not the only network that is, I guess, vulnerable to the power of quantum computing when it comes out. So for me, the reason of having no exposure to Bitcoin in recent times is because of what the other major countries are doing. I know we've spoke about it. The BRICS nations have recently piloted their own currency called Unit. I got to know about that they are doing something at works of it in late 2024. Um, but it was like, just hearsay. So I started hedging my bets at that time. And they have just come out with the pilots recently. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they are basically trialing this wholesale currency, which is 40% backed by gold. And the Reserve Bank of India have recently put out a circular saying that all the commercial banks that give loans collateralized by gold, they can do the same with silver. And we've, of course, we've talked about silver, that how there is a war going on between the Shanghai Futures Exchange and Spot Exchange versus the New York COMEX when it comes to silver contracts. We've been very vocal about it. Um, so it seems like the 40% of the world's population, 45% or 50% of the world's population, which comprises of BRICS, and 50% of the GDP growth that we see, have decided not to go down the route of Bitcoin as their central banking reserve asset. To me, that's a big blow. And I know you know this, but I've been very public, even in countries like India, saying that India should consider Bitcoin as a central bank reserve asset. So the fact that big nations like mainland China and India have decided to not go down the route of Bitcoin, for me, temporarily in the short term is a blow, where they consider gold and silver as a politically neutral asset compared to Bitcoin. So that's why for the short term, I was like, Bitcoin needs a new catalyst, because the original narrative of Bitcoin, which I still believe, but not for the short term, is that it's a decentralized asset. It's a politically neutral asset. But unfortunately, the big nations outside the US don't see it as of yet. And until a new catalyst comes where it makes them think of it that way, I'm on the sidelines. Uh, that's my take, though. Yeah.
Do you think that they don't see it, or do you think they see it? They see what it is, and it is probably the biggest threat to any government's power that has ever existed, other than the United States itself. Every other country, the number one thing they're probably afraid of is the U.S. is on, is mad at you on the opposing side of you. So most governments probably fear that. And the other thing is, if they lose control of their money, they essentially lose control of the entire system that
That is
they're controlling, that they're in charge of their country. Um, so just to clarify, it's like, do you think that they're choosing, oh, this is a much better choice, we should go over here because it's just a more sound choice? Or is it partly because Bitcoin actually means relinquishing power?
Yeah. So look, initially, and again, I've been very public about this. So if somebody YouTubes me, they would see that I'm very, at times, borderline disrespectful of people who are not considering Bitcoin as a serious contender for a global reserve currency or a central banking reserve asset. But it is true that if you hold Bitcoin, you can't control it because it's a decentralized asset. That still stands. However, if you think about it as a thought experiment, if China and India would have bought Bitcoin the way they bought gold and silver in the last 2 years, very discreet, uh, it would have been in their interest to buy Bitcoin at a cheaper price, because when the word would have got out that, hey, we are hoarding Bitcoin, price would have jumped, right? It would have jumped. Uh, so the fact that they are spending like billions, like they are spending billions just to transport physical gold and hold it, means that they are thinking for at least 25 years ahead of what they want to do with gold and silver. Like, it's another thing to buy gold through futures and all, where there is no transportation cost. But when you are buying 800 tons of gold and actually paying transportation cost, which is crazy for 800 tons of gold, and actually getting it in your country, that means you're not doing it for as an impulsive thing. You're not doing it for this year, next year. You're doing it because it's for the next 25, 50 years of what you have in mind. So when all that stuff was happening, it became clear that, okay, they are not going to consider Bitcoin anytime soon. That doesn't mean it's the end of Bitcoin. It's the beginning of the end of Hollywood. Definitely not for Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin, we need to see some catalyst for it to happen. And unfortunately, it's the FUD season. First, it was the rumors of Jeffrey Epstein.
Hmm.
It was, Jeffrey Epstein bullshit FUD that he's the Satoshi Nakamoto. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about that
No,
Epstein
I don't
file?
really want to talk about that. I
Yeah.
think people have heard enough about that. Uh, it's not a subject I wish to touch on. It's the real subject is if there's something that seems like a threat or
Yeah.
seems like a negative,
Mhm.
for some reason Bitcoin gets thrown right into it. That
Yeah, that is
it's
true.
like, can we just go through the list? Uh, Bitcoin is used by criminals.
Yeah.
Okay, it's for money laundering. It's for selling drugs online. I don't deny it, but that's not the only use case. Those things did happen. There's Bitcoin seized from people who are using it to do illicit activity. Okay, so that's one. So that was the first one. It's money for criminals. Okay,
Yeah.
then they kind of lost that narrative. And then when I say they, it's people whoever wants to spread the narrative that Bitcoin is no good and you should get rid of it. Then the second one was, oh, Bitcoin is bad for the climate. It's causing
That's
climate
bullshit.
change. Okay, which was frankly complete bullshit. Because what they actually realized was turned out many miners were running um, their operations,
Yeah.
and
Using
off
renewable
peak
energy.
times. Yeah, just
Yeah.
like or you are doing off peak sort of essentially energy storage. So it
Yeah.
kind of ended up becoming a good way to capture electricity that would have been lost in the grid anyways, and monetize it. Okay, so there's that bullshit narrative. Jeffrey Epstein, that some random guy probably said that. So, like that one, that's also fun. Quantum. I'm not saying this is not a real thing, but to me that also kind of comes down into a very similar boat. Like it's real, like climate change is real until so let's just throw the Bitcoin narrative, let's throw climate change at Bitcoin because the biggest thing that we all fear. All right, what else is there? Something that no one understands. And I'm gonna say no one, like I don't think anybody actually understands what a quantum computer really is, and what entanglement is and what a qubit is. I'm saying all these words because I read those in an article about quantum computers and I have no idea the definition of any of them. What is it really? I can't even imagine it. I think that it's some people probably think it's real because there's very smart people who understand it. So I believe it. I'm like, okay, you guys think it's real. You think it's a real threat. But at this point, it just seems like everybody wants to use it as a threat. And so people are reacting to a threat
Yeah.
rather than, no, let me rephrase that. I think people are reacting to something that they think could be a threat, but there's not a
Yeah.
reality. It's like
Absolutely.
if we were afraid of AI 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
When ChatGPT came out and you and I were having a conversation, I'm like, dude, this is going to replace everything and everyone. Yeah, because we can kind of see the trajectory. I'm like, well, this is the first version. Imagine the second, third, fifth, eighth, 10th version of this AI. Like it's going to be able to do everybody's job. Great, we're there. Right. Like with open cloud, like we're almost there. If you had said that about AI 10 years ago, no, people be like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Majority of people had never even heard of. We know what AI is from science fiction, but most people had never heard about ChatGPT, and we would have just dismissed it. I think that's where we are with quantum. Right now, to me, it's okay. Quantum is a thing. Someone's built a small computer somewhere. ChatGPT 1.0 is somewhere out there, the quantum version. Maybe in 5 years, it becomes a real threat. But right, so and I think people are reacting to it now. But I think maybe it's a good thing they're reacting to it now because
Yeah. I think it's a
I'm not
good
sure.
thing.
I'm I'm not sure BlackRock. Well, let's just say BlackRock. I'm not even going to mention every other institution and country that holds it. I'm not sure BlackRock wants to sit there with an asset that they think could potentially get completely wiped out and wipe out all their books on the fastest growing ETF of all time. All these like amazing financial numbers that have come out that have been in support of everything BlackRock is doing. So if they really wanted, they probably have enough power to drive the change that is required to make Bitcoin quantum resistant. And that's just them. I think they could probably convince enough of the other people, Michael Saylor and everybody else too. And
Mhm.
I like Michael Saylor. I think some people, think they have a lot of people have different opinions about him,
Yeah.
but I like him. I think, yeah, I hear the guy talk and I'm like, you really believe what you're saying. That's why I like
Yeah.
him because
That's
I think he really believes that. I like Bitcoin. He's buying. He's
yeah. He's
buying
like,
more. And I'm sure, like he's the one who did the argument, right? Well, if quantum computers are real, then you're probably going to be more worried about the entire New York Stock Exchange, every stock exchange on the planet, every bank, every
that is
government,
true.
nuclear codes,
I
right?
agree.
You're going to be worried more about your nukes
I
than you're
agree.
worried about the $2 trillion market that is Bitcoin. So
I agree.
do I worry? Sorry, just to kind of close the point, do I worry? No, I'm not worried about it. I've held through bigger drawdowns. I think we just kind of keep going. The long game is adoption. And coming back to the country's point, the first thing that was going to drive Bitcoin was supposed to be institutional adoption, right? There's ETFs getting, ETFs coming to the market. Amazing, great news. It definitely made the thing, go up 5x. Then it was, well, wait till the nation states come on. Okay, we were like, whoa, wait till the nation states. We got El Salvador, amazing. We have an announcement of a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the US. And some other countries have kind of announced it too, probably not the really big ones. The 5 big ones outside of the US had not. Bitcoin is not a technology that was designed for nation states to purchase so they could have control over Bitcoin and the monetary system. Bitcoin was a technology designed to free everybody of a government-controlled monetary system. As long as people around the world, let's say a place like India, where I think last I heard, maybe this is true, maybe this is not true. I would have to check the numbers, but I'm not going to check them right now. But let me just make this statement. India might have the most individual Bitcoin wallets, probably out of any country. There's a lot of people there. I think there's a lot of tech-savvy people there. I think there's enough people who've heard of Bitcoin. The Indian government may not be into it or might not want to do it, but I think the people will probably not be abandoning it anytime soon. And I think that probably goes for the Chinese and everywhere else too. So whether the governments want to have it in their central bank, I think that's kind of irrelevant. Do 100 million people, do a billion people, do 2 billion people eventually, or when we get to the end, do all 8 billion people benefit from something like Bitcoin? Yeah, that still stays. I think governments are going to do what governments do. And by the way, the US government, before the current administration, tried to kill not just Bitcoin, the entire industry.
Yeah.
They were debanking people. They were debanking companies. Okay, like it's obviously been revealed, Operation Choke Point 2.0. And then the government changed, and now we're on the cusp of a Clarity Act, right? It only has been 2 years since that. So I think that can happen in other countries too. Governments can change. Some governments can change. I'm not sure about certain governments that have been in place for 25 years. They're probably not changing, but other governments, democratically elected governments, they can change. And the new generation that is going to be voting, I think maybe they're pro Bitcoin in a place like India.
Yeah. So look, we know this because we have built a platform, and soon we're going to start showcasing our platform as well. But the fact of the matter is that the crypto industry has done themselves a disservice by creating high FDV tokens that just go one way, which is down post TGE. And people have lost so much money that they just don't want to enter the market back, like new people.
Yeah.
And that's where I see only one shining light. Like, there's only one digital asset for the time being that I'm really bullish on, and that is Hyperliquid. I'm very bullish on hype tokens. I'm very proud of the fact that our platform is powered by Hyperliquid, and we are extremely bullish for the long term for it. And that's because they build a very efficient trading infrastructure that happens to use blockchain as a settlement system. It's an 11-person team. Everything is automated using smart contracts. And the beauty of it, in comparison to other trading trading exchanges, and there are so many, right? Everywhere, all over the world, stock exchanges are non-blockchain infrastructure, is that nothing is transparent. Whereas in Hyperliquid, it's a paradise for anybody who's trading of all the analytics that they can do. So I'm very bullish on Hyperliquid. I'm very bullish on blockchain technology. And we'll see what happens with Bitcoin. I still believe in Bitcoin, but I think it's my professor, Professor Ian D'Souza, uh, he said that make sure that if you get an opportunity to exit the market, exit and don't be greedy because the market will always give you opportunity to come back. And look, that's one thing that I'll tell you and I'll tell other individuals as well that with even hype tokens or any volatile tokens or volatile assets, it's always good to DCA your take
Mhm.
profits as well when you get a chance. Um, but thank you for opening this screen where we've got some,
Let me share that.
yeah. So this is crazy, right? Like some people who have been shorting Bitcoin, this guy shorted, this person shorted Bitcoin at when it was at $106,000, and he's sitting what at a profit of close to $11 million, and he's still not closing it. And he's been shorting Ethereum, Zcash, and Strategy, but his biggest one is Bitcoin. What do you make of this guy?
He knew something I didn't know. That's what I make of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, and he hasn't closed this position. So, he's a guy who's made 10 million bucks. So he's a lot smarter than most people right now. So maybe we want to figure out how we can, like, what can we learn from this person? Like,
Hmm.
is there a way for us to take a look at what he's done in the past and actually learn from what he may be thinking
Yeah.
and sort of
So look,
analyze this trade itself?
yeah. So look, that's where uh, we are like that's where we are very excited to start showcasing our platform because that's what we have worked very hard in building an AI within a blockchain-based trading platform that does analysis of all these individuals who are trading and seeing whether it can provide some alpha to the end users. So it's not only price charts, not only those drawing lines and Fibonacci ratios, but it's actually seeing the on-chain analysis reality of what people are actually doing to come up with insights. Whether it's the right time to go long, whether it's the right time to go to short or not. And what I'll just say to your question, Vishal, maybe the next podcast that we'll do will showcase
Mhm.
our platform and
Yeah.
how people can leverage our platform to do some analysis that can help them with their trading journey. Why don't we talk about OpenClaw and OpenAI because the AI wars in the US is also heating up, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, First, we should really congratulate this guy, Peter Steinberger.
I agree.
What an awesome month for him. Has it been
Yeah.
a month? I feel like it's been 2 weeks, but what an awesome month for this guy. Clearly, he created something that captured everybody's attention, at
Yeah.
least everybody in our world. And I had our obviously our sort of lead engineer trying to explain this to me. I'm like, what is it? Like, what does it mean? What is this? How does this work? And should I download it, put it on my computer? He said, first of all, don't put it on your machine just yet. I'm like, okay, got it. Second, yeah, he's created a layer between the LLMs and your everyday apps for you to be able to now interact with, whatever LLM there is, or whatever AI that you're using to set up some kind of function, some automated functions that can help you in your everyday life or your business. Or, I've seen people, all kinds of so many interesting use cases. Um, and I know you told me about AI agents probably like a year and a half ago. Um, and I wanted to get your reaction because I feel like a bunch of your predictions are come true. I should probably listen to your Bitcoin prediction too, based on that. But at least this one is kind of right on time, by the way. You kind of nailed the timing too of how
Yeah.
quickly AI agents were going to explode onto the scene.
Yeah. Um, so what I'll say is that people are definitely not paying attention to this. They are taking this lightly. I like what this guy said, by the way. Came back from retirement to mess with AI and help a lobster take over the world at OpenClaw. That is beautiful because that's exactly what this guy did. A lot of people think that this guy is an overnight success. The man built a technology company as a startup founder, then, you know, retired, like he said, and then built 70 to 80 AI tools since ChatGPT released in 2022. And a lot of them met with success. But then his 80th or 70th creation, OpenClaw, became viral because it was so brave what he created. It was open source and it allowed the AI to basically have root access to the computer. So that means that you communicate through the AI agent through any of your existing messaging platform of your choice, through Telegram and WhatsApp, and you've given this AI access to the entire computer. It's like you're messaging a human being who's got access to a computer and your uh, you know, platforms like Twitter and all, and they're just working. It's like you're outsourcing work to a human being, really. And he created it all by himself. So he deserves, I mean, it's a great story. He's joining a bigger company. He's going to learn a lot. That bigger company is going to learn a lot. Uh, but to your question, people are actually not realizing how fast things are moving. Uh, I know we saw recently, just a few hours ago, and Balaji also tweeted about it. The robots on display in the recent Chinese uh, news media, where they were doing all the kung fu and shit. Uh, honestly, look, I'm just gonna get on a serious note. Like, people are just not absolutely realizing how fast AI is happening, and they should pay more attention. That's all I can say. AI is the present, and they should pay more attention to what's happening. Because if they are not informed, they're gonna end up being in the same situation as those individuals who thought that real estate prices can go only one way, and that is up, pre global financial crisis, and saw their net worth decline because they were over leveraged. Similarly, they need to pay attention because this time it's not just one asset class. It's basically your entire livelihood and what your life depends on, which is jobs. So I think one of the CEOs said that anything that has a computer screen, your job is in jeopardy. I agree with that.
Crap.
Who said that?
Yeah. No, I'm saying crap. Like that's gonna. I'm sitting here looking at a computer screen.
But let me tell you something. So while I agree, it's like, I feel like there's going to be 90% job losses for digital workers in the coming years. I give it 2030, 2030, 2031. Uh, whatever jobs, white collar digital jobs that are there, 90% of them either would not exist or would be redundant by 2031. And that's me being generous, I feel. So by 2031, they're not gonna. However, what will still exist from a white collar perspective is the proof of human. The proof of human would still exist. Uh, it's not going to be like people are going to blindly trust the AI for everything. There are going to be certain, humans that people would still like to believe in despite their flaws. And that's why there is one thing that I would highly recommend everybody to do. And I'm glad that you are on this journey with me as well, is that have a personal brand, have a personal brand, go out there and talk. Go out there and talk, whether it's your failures or whether it's your success, just talk because that the human touch, the human experience, the want to believe another human, that will not go down. In fact, that will increase more when everything is going to be just AI. But for that to happen, you got to put yourself out. And unfortunately, what that means is that even if you are an introvert, you got to come out and just show yourself and talk. Whether it's your failures or success, you got to talk. But for people who are not out there, right? Either they'll be architects building something in AI, and if they are not building something in AI, then really like I have no clue what they're gonna do. Because we're gonna have physical AI. We're gonna have, you know, kitchen staff, chefs that are gonna be AI. I mean, of course, there's always space for this 0.1% of true artist in whatever profession they are, whether they are traders and all, that are always going to be humans. But I'm talking about the other 99% of chefs. You know, it's the more I think about it, it really sometimes gives me goosebumps that people are not ready what's going to happen. And a lot of people think that I'm pessimist, but the people who are close to me, they know that I'm a realist. I'm a big time realist. I'm not optimistic just for the sake of it, and I'm not pessimistic for the sake of it. But I really think that people are undermining what's gonna happen with AI. I really think they are not ready for it and they are not paying attention.
I, I one, I don't think everybody's as exposed to it as maybe we are because we work on it and try to build something every day. Um, I'm not sure if people are like, I mean, maybe some people are just like, I don't think this is going to really happen. It's like the quantum thing. Maybe the way I was talking about it, whatever. We'll see about this quantum business. Some people are probably thinking the same thing with this. Oh, we'll see about this AI business if it can really take my job. I think most people probably think it's true. Um, they just don't know what to do about it, and that's the reality. I just even if I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, my computer based job is going to go away. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Try to just figure out, should I go get a landscaping company and start, mowing people's lawns and, you know, doing the shrubs and stuff like that? No, that you mean the China is physical AI. You got the robots doing kung fu. I'm pretty sure they can mow the lawn. And if the U.S. is digital AI, so it's coming for physical jobs and digital jobs. I think you're right. Like people should be aware. I think it's more about one, they don't know what to do. Two, maybe they just have to just prepare for this world, mentally prepare, not necessarily prepare in a way that is going to figure out that they're going to figure out how to have a livelihood. Um, I don't think you're a pessimist. I think you are a realist. I think I'm a realist too, but I'm kind of an optimist. I
Hmm.
actually like what's going to happen. People are scared. I actually am kind of excited.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I'm excited.
yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm excited for humanity. I'm
Yeah, me
excited
too.
that there are people out there doing stuff. Yeah, I get it. They have to do it to, for $1 a day, put some bread on the table. If the promise of this kind of technology is that there's a lot of suffering that could be alleviated from people's everyday lives, then it comes down to the people running these societies to figure out how they're going to still take care of the people that are in their societies. The robots are just machines that are here to help us, essentially. If they let it go down the path of, I mean, I guess there's two futures. It's really easy. There's the Elysium future, which is terrible. Like, I don't want that for us or anybody. And then there's the Star Trek future, which I like the idea of the Star Trek future, where we focus on things that are still important. Money is not really a thing that we worry about because we have enough abundance across the board. And I happen to think that some of the people working on these problems, um, they're not just capitalists. They are capitalists, but that's not the only thing that they are, right? They're also kind of dreamers, people who wanted to make the world a better place. So you don't actually get to this point of doing incredible work if people don't have some other thing driving them other than money, right? Like you see all the, I know it sounds very cliche. The VC asks you, what what world problem are you trying to solve? And I was like, oh, I want to save all the ducks. Okay, um, that's not, and ultimately it's just like, yeah, but what's the ROI on my investment? Like that's what people want to know. I think some of those founders probably believe that. Some of those probably believe the world saving idea that they have, that they want to execute on. I'm an optimist. I think that some of that human stuff will win out over just the pure, hey, I can make more. I can get all the money in the world if I own the AI and I own all the robots too. What's the point? There's no point in being at a party just by yourself.
I think there's only one person, and I know who you're alluding to.
Yeah.
It's Elon Musk. He's the only one
Really?
that has
Yeah.
demonstrated that he thinks that way. Um, and he's the one who famously said in front of NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen, that he thinks money is not going to be relevant as a concept with the abundance of AI and robotics that he envisions the world is going to see in reality. And Jensen said in response that when money becomes irrelevant, you let me know a day before. But that was in a sarcastic manner he said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, while I would love for a world to exist the way Elon said, and I wrote a book, so I know about this, and I'm not just saying it. My dream would be a world where money becomes irrelevant. It is an important social contract, but it'll be a great world where the scarcity of money is removed from the human experience. So I would love that. Uh, but I think there's only one individual who has the power that thinks it that way, and the rest doesn't. And to your point, I love the movie analogies that you made about Elysium and Star Trek. And you're right. When we talk about Star Trek, they never talk about money. There has never been, because in that world, in that universe, they talk about energy and exploration. So I totally agree. Those are great examples that you've given. However, I do feel we're going to see Elysium. I mean, we are already seeing an Elysium world. Look at every economy, whether it's China, India, US, Australia, even. You see all countries like America, Australia, that are known for having a strong middle class. All of them are having a K-shaped economy now. So we are already seeing like the Elysium version. And unfortunately, I think it's going to extrapolate a little bit more. I see that extrapolating more.
I agree. The K-shaped economy, it seems like it's definitely a reality, and the reality is already here. The paradigm shift that everybody keeps talking about every time something new gets discovered, like Bitcoin, it's a paradigm shift. AI is a paradigm shift, right? Quantum computing is going to be a paradigm shift. Whatever it is, clearly is going to be a paradigm shift because if it can break every single thing that you've been doing and the entire system that you've built for the last 50 years, the electronics and everything you've built can be broken with this one new technology. So it's something major is going to happen with it. Okay, so we talk about 3, 4 different paradigm shifts. Will people stay exactly the way they are? Um, I think I think we will have to learn how to become the new thing. that exists. The K-shaped economy, sure, that'll be there, but I do think we're pretty adaptable. I think we can adapt to a
Yeah, that's
world
true.
where,
That's true.
you know, all the robots are doing all the jobs and we have nothing else to do. We'll find things to do. We're pretty industrious.
That is true. However, I want to bring this topic now. I know we spoke a little bit about it, so I'm gonna. So I know we discussed about this, but I want to get your take on it, especially since you live in New York. Whether this is just blown out of proportion or this is something that at least a lot of people in New York City might be thinking about. Like, I remember when I was in New York in 2020, like pre-pandemic, uh, like getting an NYU education as an Australian was expensive, but I didn't require, you know, I didn't need like $250,000 a year for living expenses. But I'm hearing that if you don't have $500,000, then don't come for a 2-year MBA. If you are paying for the full tuition fees, like if you don't have $500,000, then don't come and do a 2-year MBA uh, and stay in New York City because your money is going to evaporate soon and the job market isn't that great. And I saw this, which has went viral among the crypto Goodreads circle, where this person and a lot of people have resonated with this is saying that I don't care about internet culture, things to do. I just want to go to the cheapest, safest possible place where I can go and just my savings would last as long as possible, where I can just watch YouTube. And a lot of people commented on it saying, that's right, even with a master's degree, we couldn't get jobs. So it's better to move out from New York City and stay in like a place like Bali. Like Bali was a favorite place for a lot of these people that commented that, yeah, they're thinking to move out of New York City and move to Bali, where 250,000 US dollars can be like a good retirement fund. And the reality is, in South Asian countries, 500,000 US dollars is like basically what you want, and then you retire. So I'm keen to get your take on it. Like, what's the ground reality in at least New York City at this moment?
Um, I don't know every New Yorker, but let's just look at what's happened in the last 6 months. New York elected a new mayor. The promise was free things for everybody, right? Like, okay, that's the first time probably in a long time a New York mayor was able to just say, here are a lot of free things. And, I'm going to lower your rent. I mean, there was this one guy before he said the rent is too damn high. I would have voted for him. He was right. Um, but this guy kind of swept the entire scene. And it's New York. It's not just any small city. It's one of the more consequential cities in the world at this point still. And I think what it told me was the people who probably showed up to New York within the last 3 to 5 years, young people. And New York is like that. Like every time someone graduates, like a bunch of those graduates are moving to New York across the country. It's not just in New York State. Like from the entire country, people will graduate and move to New York, or people are moving from different places where there's not that much economic opportunity, or their industry doesn't exist, like art, theater, whatever you want to call it. And they move to New York because that's where opportunities are. That one opportunity to make money, but also opportunity to learn. And I think a lot of people probably move to New York and realize that one, the opportunities are really dried up, probably for a variety of reasons. Businesses have moved out, people have moved out. COVID probably killed a lot of things, but the rents had not really come down. The rents were too damn high. And so the new cohort of people, when the ground reality is probably for a lot of these younger people who are not what we call them. I'm not going to say they're not true New Yorkers. They'll be true New Yorkers soon, I guess. But when you just get there, you're like, you're still in shock of Manhattan. Like, oh man, all this walking first. Let me just talk about me right now. Damn, all this walking. Two, it is really expensive and all these damn people, you know? And eventually you get used to it. But the rent stuff you never get used to. In that like relentless pressure that is on you, that leads to you making a decision that is like, let's elect this guy who's for the people. I mean, he's saying he's for the people. The people are like, let's elect this guy. Some people didn't want to vote for him because they obviously own property in New York. They own the grocery stores. They own the things, and they didn't want him to tax them. The other people did. Now let's get to this the comment. I think we talked about this lie flat culture before, and
Yeah.
like the concept that we were talking about China. They have this idea of people lying flat, which is I don't want to do anything. I just want to chill. Or what's the point? I'm gonna get ground into dust anyways, working. So I might as well just lie down and watch some YouTube. I don't think people are moving to Bali anytime soon. Like a majority of people, like that guy, good for him. He's got enough life savings to move to Bali. There are still people who are going to try, and that's what you're going to get. In New York, usually you move to New York because you're the kind of person who wants to try. You're
Yeah.
not the kind of person who moves to New York because you want to lie down and watch YouTube all day. Like you would have stayed wherever you were. And I think that goes for even the modern, uh, even the most recent cohort of people who've probably moved to New York. They're just disillusioned, and for good reason. Like it's not great. It's really really tough right now. Um, this guy who wants to, I'm not saying he's moving to Bali, but this guy wants to go to that place. One thing for the people who think this is a good idea, one, you're gonna miss probably your family or whoever you're going to leave behind. So, think about that before you do it. Two, when you figure out a place that you want to go, you're going to have to keep it a really good secret because if this trend takes off, the place that you move to with your few $100,000 or $500,000, whatever you have saved up, there's going to be a line of people coming to do the same thing. And then the place where you're living is also going to become exactly like the place that you left. Okay, there's going to be inflation because you are coming in with a bunch of cash and you're not actually contributing anything economically other than just buying things from people. You're not producing anything. You're going to make that place exactly the way. And then there are going to be people there who are like, man, it was nice when it was quiet. Now we have to do so much work because there's so much money to fight over. All these new people who moved here now are spending all this money. We have to go after it. You're going to make them super capitalistic, and then they're going to want to lie down and watch YouTube. So this thing is kind of like a virus, and it'll actually spread. For a variety of reasons. Right now, if you're living in New York or the Western world, the idea of moving to a place like Bali seems amazing because the relentless pressure of every day. Maybe we don't need the New York City style pressure, but we don't need to lie down and watch YouTube all day either. Like if you're still young and you're vibrant, like at least go until the AI takes over.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm not there, but it's not just this, and it's not from you as well. I've heard from few of my other friends as well that the inflation, especially since 2022, 2023, has just gone out of control. And they don't see how that can get controlled, uh, especially given we might start seeing lowering of interest rates. I mean, that is not going to help rent. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, the rent, New York City rent, I don't know if it tracks with, you know,
yeah,
um,
interest rates.
consumer,
Yeah,
consumer product inflation or something. I think New York City rent is just its own thing. People just, this is New York. You got to pay a lot of money kind of business. Um, I think the last number I saw, inflation was actually down and it's actually kind of trending towards 2%,
Mhm.
at least in the US. That actually would force the Fed to lower interest rates because their mandate is to keep it between 2 and 3. But um, yeah, the lower interest rates, I mean, all of these things are going to be kind of moot, right? You said we're on a 5-year time horizon for AI to start really meaningfully contributing to the world, well, AI is a deflationary technology. You're going to, right? It's a race to the bottom for prices.
Yeah.
They're going to make it cheaper and cheaper. Robots are going to get cheaper and cheaper. Then the input becomes cheaper. Intelligence is an input itself to every product. That's
Yeah.
going to get cheaper. It's already getting cheaper because of digital AI.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have to worry about inflation for too long. I think deflation is going to become a much bigger problem.
Can I just say, and I don't mind like saying it publicly, but
Yeah.
for me personally, my target is have to do something by 2029. Like I said 2030, 2031, but I feel like the window of opportunity, I mean, look, first of all, opportunity always exists. There was there are there is always going to be opportunity. So opportunity will always exist. However, the window of opportunity where the journey that we have embarked upon, we have to crack it by 2029. That's the goal that I have. Uh, like, because I feel after 2029, we might we might be close to AGI. We might be close to AGI. And of course, we are at the forefront uh, where probably around 50,000 or 100,000 people know what's happening, and we are probably one of them. So we'll always be in the forefront or the early adopters of what's going to happen. But for me, what we have built, my target is we have to push it. And by 2029, we might see an evolution and we would have already got a foundation of what we have built.
I'm glad you have a timeline for this. I like to think of it like, oh, we had no choice. We gotta have
Yeah.
to keep going anyways.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that.
what I realized, as we're closing, what I realized over the last couple of weeks is this, and even actually not look at last month maybe. I was sort of waking up out of the fog of um, narrative, narrative jumping, and so we were, Trump was talking about Greenland, we were talking about rare earth metals, then gold was going to 5,600, 5,500, and silver. That was what everybody was talking about. Then Bitcoin starts collapsing. Then Claude Cowork and Claude Code is released on. Everybody stops talking about Bitcoin, and we kind of move on to Claude Code. And then literally like a day or two later, we have OpenClaw, which is like, what? Like, this is insanity. So everybody forgets about Claude Cowork, which was an Opus 4.6. It was like, wow, we've gone here. This is an AGI moment. Some people think so, but like, it's really good. It's the best one so far. So they're like, wow, this is a really good LLM or AI. And then we get to OpenClaw, and everybody forgets about that one. And now we're on to the next one. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I can't even think about 2029 or 2032 or whatever. This is just in like the computer engineering, software engineering, computer science, right? Chips, GPUs. This little arena. There's this entire world out there that we're not even considering of what's going to happen yet, but biomedical advances, etc. Our mind is going to be consistently blown every week, probably every hour going forward. There's no, this is not philosophy. Like, there's no point in doing something. There's no point in lying down. You got to just go forward. Here's the reason is I think people have been predicting the future for a really, really long time. And I don't know, like, no one actually goes back and, oh, was he right or was he wrong? The people who are wrong, no one actually goes back and checks whether they were right or not, because they were wrong. The only ones that are like, wow, Warren Buffett called it, or this guy, the guy with the trade on Hyperliquid, who's just made 10 million bucks, like, he called it. He called what happened the last month. Like, he's amazing. Everybody else who lost $19 billion, like, we're not even talking about them because they also tried to predict the future.
That is true.
So to me, predicting the future is more when you're playing an odds game, right? You said a game of chance rather than, like, do you actually know what you're talking about? We're all saying the same thing. Like, if you really think about it, we're all saying the same thing. AI is coming. We're all going to lose our jobs. The robots are coming. It's inevitable. When have you known the narrative or the market or everybody where 99% of people are all saying the same thing for then that narrative, that bubble to just pop? And we all go, "Why? How could we have been? How could we have been so stupid?" Sometimes with technology stuff, it happens, and oh man, this is going to just totally take over. Some simple things that happen like that, but it didn't. It didn't completely end everything. It didn't completely change everything,
Yeah, that's true.
right? I think there's a little bit of a step back moment. All these things that are coming out are really cool. I'm really enjoying them. Even the Bitcoin FUD and quantum stuff. I think quantum things are really cool. Hopefully, I'll learn about it from somebody someday. I'm not worried about it because every time someone comes out with a new narrative, if I switch all my investments or change everything around, what do you actually believe? You also get to have an imprint on the world. You also get to kind of push, put your will on things. So act as if your will matters. I'm going to go with that. Maybe 99.9% of the planet will push back on you. It's okay. But that's the fun. That's the battle.
Love it. I love it, man. That is very beautifully said by you. I think on that note, we can finish this marathon of an episode that I didn't realize that it's been going on for 90 minutes, but I really enjoyed this. And next time, why don't we do a research preview of what we have been building for our viewers, which I can't wait. I know we have been delaying it, but I think it's about time, and can't wait to showcase our platform and the AI that we built. Very excited for it, and we're excited to do this with you. Finally,
Yeah.
taking our
Good stuff.
baby out
Yeah.
and showing it to the world, getting it
Yeah.
judged. Uh,
Yes.
but it's about time. So I'm quite excited that we're gonna do it. So thank
Yeah.
you, Vishal. Yeah.
Thank you. I was gonna say before we sign up, I love all the chit chats about Hollywood and Chinese kung fu robots, but I kind of, we should maybe go focus on the stuff that we know how to do and what we're really working on. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
Cool. Vishal, thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you very much for loving the first episode as well. It was Vishal's first episode, and he killed it. He got a lot of good comments, I know. A lot of people told me, oh, wow, Vishal, he's a smart guy. You're a co-founder. He's very philosophical. And
No
you
boy.
said some cool things over here as well, man. I
Okay.
appreciate you. We're going to continue doing it. So thank you for tuning in for today as well, man.
All right.
Cool.
See ya.
Awesome.